I am going to show you how to attach your limit strap on your Skeeride 2 snowmobile. So what I have here is my skid, my tunnel for the Skeeride Polaris. I have a 6mm wide GT or 2 GT belt. It's a 140mm, I believe, is what it shows there. And the nice thing about these 6mm is that they fit really easily into this gap or that space where your shock is going to mount. So I'm going to take my snippers for my 3D printer. I don't love to have the words on there. If I can get rid of it, I'm going to. So I'm going to snip that, and I'm going to snip that, and then we'll go from there on length to see if I need it any longer. So to start out, what I'm going to do is wrap it around this front brace support on your skid and then the upper part of this arm. I'm going to slide it through like this. And then what you'll see, or what the goal is to have these two pieces line up here. And what you want them to do is to wrap around those braces and to wrap around those supports. And then you want the teeth to mesh into each other like that. We're going to run a screw through that right there, and then the brace or the support will go through that. So as I looked through, it looked to be a little bit long. All right, so here it is. It is a little bit long, so I think what I could probably do is cut, as I look at this, you guys can't see it very well, but I'm going to cut right at the edge of the print right here. Like I said, I would rather get rid of the white, but we'll put the white part up there just so it's not seen so easily. I really like scale stuff and scale things. So when I've got one of these little snowmobiles with white writing, I want to hide it. So there you go. You can see my two ends. Let me wrap this around. My two ends almost touch right there and almost meet. And that's what I'm going for. When I tighten this up, I don't want to pull down much on this shock. This is a 70mm shock. The recommendation is 65mm to 80mm, 75mm eye to eye. So this is right in the middle of those. The longer your shock up front, the more wheelies you'll do, so that's fun. The shorter your shock, the fewer wheelies that you'll end up doing. So I go with the middle ground of 70mm, and then when I tighten this belt on here, I just ever so slightly snug it so that it moves like that and it stays down just barely. So I'm taking maybe 1mm out of it. Now what I'm going to do to pop a hole is I'm going to run it through, and then I'm going to see where I end up lining up. So I'm going to hold this piece here. I'm going to hold this piece there. And then I'm going to run my hole. Now, what I like to do is to take my punch, like a pin punch, and I think I'm going to go about right there and just mark it so I can see where that is. It's about right here between the T and the G, and I want to make sure that I'm going on the groove side of the tooth, so that would be about right here. And then I can fold that over, and I'm just going to push, and you'll see I poke through like this. Run it through. If you need to, you can even take your hex screwdriver that we'll use for our M2 screws and try to pop that through just a little bit more, as it's a little bit bigger. There we go. And kind of ream it out a little bit so that it's there. Now, what I want to show you too, the trick to doing this, I think, and I truly feel, is this is a leather punch. So I've got it adjusted. Let me just slide that over. I've got it set to the smallest hole. And if I put it on here, snip, and then there we go. Pop out the piece of leather, and you can see it's left this hole that's awesome. So even though this will work, I've poked myself a couple times when I've done this. The leather punch makes short work of it and is much more precise. So I'm going to run that back through. I'm going to line this up. Make sure that my hole is where I want it. Obviously, this is a lot easier too when you don't have it mounted on the snowmobile. So I'm going through the hole right now. I'm pinching, and I can see where I'm going to want that to go through. Run the hole through it. There we go, right there. Now it's pretty hard to see, but there it is right there. So I'm going to take my hole punch. Yep, that's through the groove. Line it up. Punch it. There we go. I can pull that out. Slide it through. And then now what I can do is take my screw. This is a M2 5mm screw. I am going to take a washer. I've seen on these 6mm belts that they've split sometimes where the hole is. So I'm going to take a little added precaution. The nice thing is because it's rubber, it ends up holding it in there. And there's my other hole. And then I'm going to push that through. There we go, right there. And the goal is to get those teeth to align. Okay, now that that's punched, I'm going to take my screw and run it through. And that's pretty tight. My limit strap is pretty tight on there, which is what I want. There's one last little thing that you can do if you actually want it to be tighter. If you find it's doing too many wheelies, or you just want it to be just a little bit tighter, you'll see there's this little gap right here. You can take a very small zip tie and put it between the support bar and between the screw and around that whole part of the strap. And when you do that, you can snug it up and tighten it just a little bit, and it will cause that strap to get just a little bit tighter. Now, because I run the 70mm shocks, I haven't felt like I've needed to do that. There we go. We'll go just a little tighter. Just a little bit. Nice and snug. I put a little thread lock on this second one as well when I just did that. Perfect. All right. And there's my limit strap. Nice and snug. Got it on there. You can see it runs from between the shock mounts there, right around the middle part of this. Now again, this is a 6mm. You could go with a 10mm and run it around this part to here. Maybe even one to there just for the balance. I like the balance, either having one in the middle, but this area is a little too big for 10mm. You could probably get away with an 8. I don't know if they make 8mm belts. Maybe I'll look into it. Anyway, there you go. That right there is how you put a limit strap on a Skeeride 2.